The Grand Pacific Hotel's ballrooms sparkled with crystal and success, the kind of opulent setting my family always chose to celebrate themselves. My father's 60th birthday party was no exception. A lavish affair where Silicon Valley's elite gathered to honor William Parker, Senior Vice President of Global Operations at Meridian Technologies. I adjusted my simple black dress, designer, though they'd never know it, and approached the check-in table where my brother Marcus stood with his wife, both gleaming with the polished perfection of tech industry royalty. "Emily," he said, barely glancing at me. "You actually came. Dad invited me." I reached for my place card, but Marcus snatched it first. "Oh, there's been a change in seating arrangements." His smile was pure venom. "We've had some last-minute additions from Meridian's board. Important people, you understand. You'll be sitting with the staff." By staff he meant the hotel workers and event coordinators, the people my family considered beneath them. I saw my stepmother, Patricia, watching from across the room with satisfied smugness. "The staff tables are through there." Marcus gestured toward a corner near the kitchen entrance. "Where you belong, really. Still working at that consulting firm, aren't you?" I bit back a smile, thinking about the email I'd received that morning from Meridian's board of directors. If only they knew that the consulting firm was just a cover, that I'd spent the last 5 years quietly building something much bigger. "Actually," I started, but Patricia swooped in, her diamonds catching the light. "Emily, darling, surely you understand," she cooed. "We have the CEO of Meridian coming, board members, major investors. We can't have them sitting with someone who works for a living?" I finished for her. She flinched slightly at my tone. "Don't be difficult. Your father's reputation at Meridian means everything. We can't risk embarrassing him in front of his superiors." I thought about my father's position at Meridian, about the changes coming next week, about the decisions I'd been quietly making in boardrooms they'd never seen. But I just took my place card and turned toward the staff tables. "Of course not," I said softly. "We wouldn't want to embarrass anyone." The staff table was tucked away from the main celebration, but it offered a perfect view of my family's performance. Marcus, holding court with mid-level executives, probably bragging about his recent promotion to regional sales director. Patricia, fluttering between influential guests, playing the perfect corporate wife. And my father laughing too loudly at his boss's jokes, still chasing that elusive promotion to executive VP. "Not quite what you expected, Miss Chin?" I turned to find Robert, one of the hotel's event coordinators, watching me with knowing eyes. He'd used my real name, Chin, not Parker, which meant he knew exactly who I was. "The seating arrangement wasn't my choice," I replied carefully. He smiled. "No, but it might work out better than your family expects. Especially when Chairman Wallace arrives." So he did know. Of course he did. Luxury hotels like the Grand Pacific catered to the city's true power players. They knew who really controlled the big companies, who sat on which boards, who held the real power behind corporate thrones. "You don't seem surprised to find me here," I said quietly. "The Grand Pacific has hosted many Meridian events, Ms. Chen, including several board meetings." His eyes twinkled. "Though I suspect your family doesn't know about those." Before I could respond, a commotion near the entrance drew everyone's attention. Marcus straightened his tie, Patricia adjusted her jewelry, and my father practically jumped to attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," the evening's MC announced, "please welcome the CEO of Meridian Technologies, Mr. James Harrison." Applause erupted as Harrison entered, tall, distinguished, and completely unaware that his position was far less secure than he believed. Behind him came several board members, all wearing carefully neutral expressions. They knew what was coming. "William," Harrison boomed, approaching my father with practiced joviality. 60 years young. "Though I hope you're not thinking of retirement yet. We need you in global operations." My father laughed too enthusiastically. "No plans to retire, sir. Still hoping for that executive VP position." I saw several board members exchange glances. They knew that position would never come, not with the changes planned for next week. "Emily." I turned to find Thomas Wallace, chairman of Meridian's board, standing quietly beside the staff table. Unlike the others, he'd entered without fanfare, without announcement. "I thought I might find you here," he said softly. "Though I must admit, I'm surprised by the seating arrangement." "Family dynamics," I shrugged. They thought they were putting me in my place. He smiled. The same smile I'd seen in countless board meetings over the past year. Shall we adjust their perspective? Not yet, I replied, watching Marcus preen for Harrison's benefit. Let them enjoy their moment. Wallace nodded, understanding perfectly. He'd been my mentor for years, ever since I'd approached him with my ideas for revolutionizing Meridian's technology division. He was the one who'd suggested I operate in secret, building my influence through holding companies and strategic investments while my family remained blissfully unaware. The vote was unanimous, he said quietly. The board approved everything this morning. Harrison doesn't know yet, of course. Neither does your father. I watched my family basking in their perceived importance. Marcus dropping hints about his sales figures, Patricia touching Harrison's arm while laughing at his jokes, my father practically begging for attention from board members who'd already decided his fate. When do you want to make the announcement? Wallace asked. I checked my phone, seeing the confirmation email from Meridian's legal team. Everything was in place. The contracts were signed. The press release was prepared. 5 years of careful planning was about to pay off. Let them finish the champagne toast, I said. It would be a shame to spoil their celebration too early. Wallace's eyes crinkled with amusement. You're kinder than they deserve. No, I corrected him. I just understand the value of timing. Across the room, Marcus was now loudly discussing his plans for expanding his sales territory, completely unaware that his entire division would be restructured next week. Patricia was showing off her jewelry to Harrison's wife, oblivious to the fact that her social position in the corporate hierarchy was about to change dramatically. And my father. He was still chasing promises that would never be fulfilled, not realizing that his daughter, the one they'd seated with the staff, was about to become everyone's boss. Robert appeared with fresh water for our table. Chairman Wallace, he said smoothly, will you be making the announcement before or after dinner? That's up to Ms. Chen, Wallace replied. Or should I say Madam Chairman? I smiled, watching the champagne flow at the main tables. Let's wait for the perfect moment. After all, my family went to such trouble to arrange the seating. It would be rude not to let them enjoy their last few minutes of feeling superior. The moment arrived during my father's birthday toast. Harrison stood, champagne glass raised, delivering the kind of generic praise executives reserve for middle management. To William Parker, he announced, 60 years young and still climbing the corporate ladder. Marcus nudged my father, grinning. Maybe this is the year for that executive VP position, Dad. Wallace caught my eye from across the table. I nodded slightly. He stood up, straightening his tie. Actually, I have an announcement about Meridian's leadership structure. The room quieted. Harrison's smile faltered slightly. Board chairmen don't typically hijack CEO speeches. As many of you know, Wallace continued, Meridian's board has been discussing significant changes to our executive team. Tonight we're ready to announce those changes. I watched my family's reactions. Marcus leaned forward eagerly, probably assuming his sales successes had been noticed. Patricia gripped my father's arm, her diamonds catching the light as she practically vibrated with anticipation. First, Wallace said, I'll be stepping down as chairman of the board. Gasps rippled through the room. Harrison's smile widened, until Wallace's next words wiped it away. Additionally, the board has voted for a complete restructuring of our executive leadership. Mr. Harrison will be transitioning to an advisory role, effective immediately. The champagne glass nearly fell from Harrison's hand. What? But the board never discussed. We discussed it extensively, Wallace smiled. Just not with you. Which brings me to our final announcement. He turned toward the staff table. Emily. I stood up slowly, enjoying the confused looks on my family's faces as Wallace extended his hand to me. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your new chairman and CEO of Meridian Technologies, Ms. Emily Chen. The silence was absolute. Marcus's mouth hung open. Patricia's face had gone pale beneath her perfect makeup. And my father. He looked like someone had just rewritten his entire understanding of reality. That's impossible, Harrison sputtered. She's just a consultant. Actually, Wallace corrected him, Ms. Chen has been the driving force behind Meridian's most successful technology initiatives for the past 5 years. Through her holding company, she controls 30% of Meridian's shares. The board voted unanimously this morning to approve her appointment. I walked to the front of the room, accepting the congratulations of board members who'd known my true identity all along. My Louboutin heels, the ones my family had assumed were knockoffs, clicked against the marble floor with each step. Emily. My father's voice was barely a whisper. What? How? That consulting firm you all mocked? I smiled. It was just a cover. I've been building my influence in Meridian since the day you told me I'd never understand corporate leadership. Marcus stood up so quickly he knocked over his champagne. This is ridiculous. She can't run Meridian. She's not even a Parker anymore. She uses Mom's name. Yes, I do, I agreed. Emily Chin, daughter of Grace Chin, who you and Patricia worked so hard to erase from family photos after she died. The name you thought wasn't prestigious enough for corporate leadership. Patricia tried to recover, her social instincts kicking in. Darling, we had no idea. If you just told us. Like you told me about Dad's birthday seating arrangements? I raised an eyebrow. Speaking of arrangements, Marcus, your sales division is being restructured. We'll need you to clear out your office by Friday. The color drained from his face. You can't fire me. I'm your brother. I'm not firing you, I corrected him. I'm giving you the same opportunity you gave me tonight. A chance to sit with the workers and learn how the company actually functions. Wallace stepped forward, handling the formal announcements while I watched my family's world implode. Harrison was escorted out by security when he tried to protest. Board members who'd ignored my father for years now rushed to congratulate him on his daughter's success. Emily, please. My father finally approached, his voice shaking. If I'd known. Known what? That I was capable of running a company? That I wasn't just the disappointing daughter who needed to be hidden away at staff tables. I was wrong, he admitted quietly. About everything. I studied him. This man who'd spent decades chasing corporate validation, who'd let his wife and son treat me like an embarrassment, who'd never once stood up for me until I had power over him. Yes, you were. I straightened my jacket. And now you have a choice. You can retire with a generous package, or you can stay and work under your daughter's leadership. Either way, things will be different. Different how? For starters, I smiled, you'll be sitting at the staff table at all future corporate events. I hear it offers an excellent perspective on how power really works. Over the next few weeks, Meridian transformed. Harrison's old guard was replaced with innovative leaders who'd earned their positions through talent rather than connections. Marcus was demoted to an entry-level sales position, where he finally had to learn the business from the ground up. Patricia's social circle imploded as corporate wives realized she no longer had any influence to peddle. She stopped appearing at company events after I enforced a strict no-family policy. Except for major shareholders, of course. My father chose to stay, accepting a minor position in operations. Sometimes I catch him watching me run board meetings from his seat in the back, finally understanding what real corporate leadership looks like. Last week, during Meridian's annual charity gala, Marcus tried to pull rank on a junior employee. Do you know who I am? He demanded. I'm the chairman's brother. Former regional sales director, currently on probation in entry-level sales, I corrected, walking up behind him. And if you ever try to use my position to intimidate staff again, you'll be looking for a new job. Clear. He slunk away to the staff table where Patricia sat pretending not to notice her loss of status. Harsh, Wallace observed, joining me. But necessary. They needed to learn, I replied, watching my family huddle at their assigned table. Success isn't about where you sit at parties. It's about what you do when no one's watching. Later that night, alone in my office, the same one Harrison had once promised my father, I found an old photo from my mother's funeral. 14-year-old me standing apart from the family, already being pushed aside for not fitting their image of success. I placed it beside Meridian's latest earnings report, which showed record profits under my leadership. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's becoming so powerful that their opinions become irrelevant. The next morning, my assistant brought in the seating chart for next month's corporate retreat. Your family's table assignments, Ms. Chin? I smiled, thinking of Patricia's designer dresses and Marcus's expensive suits, now wasted on the staff section. Same as always, I replied. Some people need a permanent reminder of where they placed others when they had the chance to be kind. After all, leadership isn't just about running a company. Sometimes it's about teaching people that every seat at the table matters, especially the ones they think aren't important enough for their presence. And sometimes, the best view of success comes from the tables they tried to use as punishment.